market. Let's read this first story we got. The Biden administration cancels prominent oil and gas leases. One environmentalist said the announcement was good for the climate, which can't handle new oil and gas development. Well, let's get to the nuance here. Quote, due to a lack of industry interest in leasing in the area, the department will not move forward with the proposed Cook Inlet OCS oil and gas lease sale 258, a Department of Interior spokesperson told Fox Business. However, there's also the Department of Interior ending 2 leases for the Gulf of Mexico region because of conflicting court rulings that impacted work on these proposed lease sales. So, I'm not going to come out here and try and play some tribal nonsense where it's like Joe Biden arbitrarily just destroyed an oil and gas lease. There's actually questions about whether or not these companies are trying to drill for oil. But I wonder, when you get a president like Joe Biden, who actually shuts down an oil pipeline at this time, how many companies feel safe investing tons of money in new infrastructure that Joe Biden might turn around and just shutter overnight without due process, just executive order, you're done? Why would an oil and gas company want to go build in Alaska when the president has already shown he will destroy your investment? This is bad leadership.
I agree with that, actually. I'm not a huge advocate of burning unlimited fossil fuel without attempting to recover the carbon, but it seems like maybe he's incentivizing people to get off oil, but it's like just a dumb way to do it. Like, I'll destroy everything so you stop using it. Doesn't make any sense to me.
Well, so in the Gulf instance, you've got environmentalists. We just had that story about the electrical plant shutting down. I think it was called Talon, because they said regulations on climate change. So they're like, we're shutting down. Yo, I'll tell you this. You think the baby food shortage is bad? Let me just lay it out for everybody, because they're like, what did Joe Biden do to make the gas prices go up? All these fact checkers are like, it's not true. Joe Biden bans oil and gas leases on federal lands. Speculation goes up because supply is expected to be diminished in the U.S. He just shuts down the Keystone Pipeline. How much money did that cost the oil industry? A lot. And I'm not saying I like the oil industry, guys. Then all of a sudden they're like, why aren't they investing to build new oil drilling up in Alaska? It's their fault we're not getting any of this stuff done. Why would anyone want to invest in the United States energy production when Joe Biden has shown he has complete disdain for it? You're going to lose all your money. Go build in Saudi Arabia, or go build in Qatar and build that pipeline or whatever.
Yeah, it's basically, I mean, it's really childish, right? I mean, there's a reason. I'm not generally like this Russia hawk or whatever, but Russia literally did fund green energy groups in the United States to try and push against domestic oil production, which is kind of an obvious thing to do from their perspective, because, hey, that allows them to kind of corner the market and increases demand for their natural resources, which they're perfectly happy to drill in whatever way they want to see fit. And so I think, yeah, I mean, I was looking at some of the information. I don't know that the cancellation of these leases was more about them like giving up on a couple of like ones that had some conflicting court rulings about them.
Yeah, it was the Gulf.
And there was like even Democrats, and I think there was like Tim Kaine was on giving a speech about, hey, we really need to increase production here. I don't know if you guys are trying hard enough here in the administration. Like, I don't know. I feel like we're in a phase where it's like you've got, I think the White House probably is now, because they're so full bore towards Ukraine, anti-Russia, they're like, okay, fine, we'll let the oil and gas leases run. But maybe the message hasn't trickled down to the bureaucrats yet.
Take a look at this. AAA gas prices. $4.41.
I guarantee you the Biden White House does not like this, right? Like there are a lot of things. They're conniving, they're obnoxious, but they're not complete morons. So they do know that, you know, gas prices at this level will lead to them losing power.
Well, no. I mean, you know, the dudes who are engaged in a bank heist are not stupid. But why would you assume that they're looking out for your best interests?
No, they're not, right? Like that's I don't assume that they're looking out for their best interests. I just know we're 6 months out of an election, and
the Joe Biden election to me
would
be like John Dillinger like trying to get appointed as the head of a bank branch, and people being like, I never heard of this guy, he sounds great, and we're like, please do not give this guy, I'm telling you he's going to loot the coffers. And they're like, I don't know, he looks trustworthy, cool name too. And then all of a sudden, you know, the bank is failing and you're like, I can't believe this is happening. Well, Joe Biden's crooked. He's always been crooked. You put a crooked guy in charge, crooked things happen. And now all these people are like, why is gas higher than it's ever been?
Yeah.
They try to play the game. It's not Joe Biden's fault. It is Vladimir Putin and the unprecedented pandemic. And it's like, dude, if Joe Biden didn't cancel Keystone, if he didn't ban oil and gas leases on federal lands, if they weren't making the moves they're making now, my point, I'll just summarize it with this. If Donald Trump was president, he would be like, he'd be yelling, "Get me the head of these companies. I want them in here right now. What's going on? They're making me look bad. We need to get these prices down." And they would have a meeting. You'd hear in the press that the CEOs of these companies are coming to the Oval Office. Donald Trump would be like, "What do we got to do to get you producing?" They'd say, "These regulations are impeding us." And he'd be like, "We're getting rid of them. Get the oil baby drill." And the prices would be going down.
And then they'd be fracking. I heard earthquakes have gone up because of fracking. If you look at like Oklahoma earthquakes, where there's like no earthquakes, all of a sudden since they started fracking, you see massive amounts of microquakes. They're not huge, but
that's a good thing.
Of course, earthquakes are always fantastic. What's happening is they're taking liquid out of the earth, and then it's leaving like a craterous vacuum in there, and then the crust just ends up slipping on itself.
Well, they're injecting hydraulic fluid.
Yeah, and they inject weird chemicals back in.
I mean, just look on the bright side. Now that we know we're creating earthquakes, maybe we can create some kind of earthquake generator.
A piezoelectric
that's right.
energy producer.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. We'll get even more energy out of it.
That's more brilliant than ever before. Turning problems into solutions that we are better than what we had at the beginning is a human thing. We've done it in the past.
That's true.